Welcome to Podcast on Infinite Earths, an unofficial DC Studios podcast. I'm your host, Porter.
And I'm your host, Tyson.
And we are writers, editors, and part-time filmmakers who love superheroes. Well, it's the premiere we've all been waiting for. We finally get to watch the first episode of Lanterns. And again, we mentioned this last episode. We know that we are a week behind. And that is purely because these episodes come out on a Sunday evening and these release on Monday morning. So the logistics of recording an episode and getting it edited and ready to go is not sustainable. So we're just going to be one episode behind by the time this comes out. But nevertheless, we are very excited to see it. I think that this is a good pilot episode. And it's fun that it's called Pilot, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it's a clever play on words, and I don't know, it's very simple, but that delighted me. I'm a big fan of how this started out. It's very much John's story.
Yeah, he's absolutely like the protagonist, audience surrogate.
Yeah. And I really liked the way that they just kind of took us forward in time throughout this. We have the beginning, right? We start in 1996.
Yep.
And it's with little Kitty John, who's watching the interview with Hal kind of like revealing himself as the Green Lantern.
Which is cool because it not only gives us like that classic, like he looks up to this hero that we later learn he kind of has, butts heads with, but we get kind of like a mini origin story from the newscaster. It's kind of happening in the background. While other stuff is happening with like his siblings and the parent coming in, but we get the bullet points of his dad died in a plane testing accident, and then he got the ring and he has no fear. And yeah, another thing is how I thought it was interesting that the Green Lanterns don't have secret identities.
I was surprised by that. I guess like Hal doesn't really have many other people in his life, so there wasn't too many concerns about like that whole protect those close to you,
right? Which that's a good point.
But also like that felt kind of surprising because for the most part, like to my knowledge, the Lanterns have kind of like maintained a sort of identity, right? They have the mask at least.
Yeah, which is true. I guess when I think of a Hal Jordan Green Lantern, I think of him with the mask,
right?
But because of like the Justice League animated show, when I think of John Stewart, he doesn't have a mask in my head, right? Even if he did at some point in time in the comics, when I think of John Stewart, I don't picture a Green Lantern with a mask.
Damn cartoons.
Yeah.
They've implanted so much nostalgia. I can't look at it any other way.
Yeah, literally.
No, it's a good point. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And it's cool because he is very open about, like I'm an Air Force pilot and I have kind of this background and everything, but I'm like a regular guy. And you get like the little kid, John, having that classic like starry-eyed look, right? Just like, wow, right? Like he's just like me. And then that big moment where he's like, it's just one question. Are you afraid? And then his dad comes home and his dad's like a big military man. And my first thought, I don't know about you, was that the dad was gonna whoop him, right?
Yeah.
Like it was just like he did something wrong, and then they just like show I was blown away by this next scene.
So wild.
He's just like out back kid, and I'm just like, well, belt's coming off, it's over for him, right? And he walks outside. Dad grabs an apple, and I was like, where are they going with this? And he hands it to the kid, and I was like, he's gonna put it on his head. And he puts it on his head, and my first thought is the Robin Hood thing, right? A bow and arrow. Dad just pulls out a pistol and aims it at his kid and shoots an apple off his head.
He asks him first, though, are you afraid?
Which I think is such a crazy setup because it sparks hella questions in my mind, especially with like later in the show where he calls his dad. But like, there's clearly a knowledge about the Green Lanterns and like a childhood training that has begun.
Yeah.
Right? It's like those parents that put their kids in like Pee Wee soccer at 3 so they can go pro in college, right?
Right.
Like, I don't know. That was kind of crazy, right? He gets home and he asks about the interview. He was like, what was the Green Lantern's name? Like, there's there's something more there that I'm so curious to learn about. Like with John's relationship with his father.
I agree. I bet we'll see a bit more into that because, like, there's enough here to imply things and you can kind of guess certain dynamics, but it would be fascinating to learn more.
Yeah. So from here, it just cuts to 2016. And I
Yes.
like for my little simple brain that with these time jumps, they kept it in like decades,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
tens. So I can just, it makes sense to me.
I agree.
And it's 2016, which we like just as they were like through this title drop in, we're like, wait, so like, is the modern day gonna be like now or like yeah, it was dumb, but no, it starts in 2016. They give us a modern John and good looking. He's boxing and whatnot, and he walks outside and up rolls with all of his swagger, Hal Jordan.
Yeah, we get a car ride with them, and it's clear that John is very antsy to get some real training in. And
Well, and what I like about this dynamic is they really like set up Hal as kind of just like a douchebag.
oh, like just like the washed up, like,
Oh yeah, right. Like he's
yeah.
rolling up late and hungover, and it's clear that like John respects the authority. So he's like showing him the utmost respect, but like Hal is like goading him into like calling him out for being like just kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
It's such a fun and interesting dynamic. I love it.
So yeah, so far it's just golden. I also really like the whole, like, I feel like Hal, and I'm jumping, I guess this kind of encases the whole episode. I feel like John is being like half trained by Hal, right? Like he's technically is being trained, but
But it's like that Mr. Miyagi kind of training where it's like, I'm going to train you and you're not going to know how you're being trained and it's going to confuse and frustrate you. But in the end, your training will like be complete, right?
but without the perception of like someone having wisdom.
Oh yeah, right. Like
You
it's
know
just
what I
like
mean?
a washed up douchebag.
Right, like when Hal just like flies to Nebraska and then John has to manually get there.
Okay, just before this,
And he's
they
like-
have
Or sorry,
the
I
car
just
scene.
right for sure. I just really quick like then the line of him saying like, "Oh, I was just testing to see if you could get here on your own." And it's like, okay, you probably weren't. You just were being a dork.
Yeah,
Like,
right. He so much swagger, and I love that. Like everybody's calling him on it, but like
Yeah.
he kind of has like the aura to back it up.
But yes, there is a fun car scene beforehand.
And what I was just excited to see this mostly because it was in the trailer,
Right.
But yeah, like just this awesome moment where like he goads John well enough that John is all like, well, maybe maybe you should let me like use the ring, and like I've been doing this for 2 months and I haven't even touched the thing. And Hal's like, oh yeah. So he pops it on the dash and he's all like, all right, well, figure it out, man. He's like, there's a taco stand 3 miles down the road, I'll meet you there. He barrel rolls out of the car and it just drives off a cliff. And it's so awesome, and the panic of John gets the ring on. We don't see what happens, but car crunches, and then we just see him walking, and this is where we get the phone call with his dad.
Yeah, the phone call. I don't know, it felt very human, right? Like
Oh yeah.
he's calling him frustrated about his boss.
And the dad like character kind of has matched the vibe from like when he was a kid. It's like a very strict but like
Supportive?
supportive. Yeah, absolutely. So he, it's clear his dad has had experience dealing with people like Hal, and he recognizes like maybe the methods that Hal has used, because what I like about this show is they're really leaning into the fact that it is a space cop.
Yeah.
It is all cop vibes. It is jurisdictions, and it is like training the rookie and a gut feeling and all of the cop things with aliens and like superpowers, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like insert cop show stereotype here, but because it's all space themed, it's kind of fresh enough that it's still exciting.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that just all that to be said, like I'm so here for it. This show is killing it.
Totally.
Speaking of which, the title is very tasteful. I liked it. It just was very pretty and like understated, and there wasn't even like a big swelling theme.
No,
It fit well.
it was cool.
But
Real quick, on his walk back, he gets a hologram because he has the ring on. He gets a hologram of Hal. And I thought this was a fun, quick little interaction. I hope they bring it back because I thought it was a clever way to get John's dialogue to be more direct and harsh.
Oh, yeah.
Even if
Especially
it's-
when he recognized that this isn't like the Hal.
Right. It's like because it doesn't have to be Hal, but if it looks like Hal and John is able to say these kind of frustrating truths at him, it still gets the point across.
Yeah.
Even if the real life Hal hasn't heard these things yet.
Exactly. And it is honestly just I'm astounded by the clever ways that people still come up with to give exposition.
Oh, yeah, for
and
real.
this being one of those where it is Hal in the ring, but it's Hal from 10 years ago was the last time that he updated it, which tells us that, you know, for one, there's maybe a bit of a mystery there. Maybe 10 years ago is when like something happened and Hal just kind of gave up a little.
Yeah.
But yes, he's not really caught up on what's happening. So we get like a little bit more of the exposition through John. They kind of just keep building it throughout this episode, and it works very well.
Yes. Clever exposition tool.
Absolutely. But we get to the taco stand, and this is where we're starting to kind of establish that Hal is very much a star, but what we can probably perceive as a bit of a washed up star. So he's basking in the glory of a few fans that want him to sign some stuff, but like it feels a little sad.
Yeah, and it probably doesn't help that he just kind of looks rough and scraggly.
Right. Like
right?
they're asking about the suit, and he's just all like, oh, the suit, that's all pomp and circumstance, right?
Yeah.
You get to an age where you learn that doesn't matter.
Which is probably true, but it just feels funny. Like you said, I think a washed up star is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah. And anyways, it's fun to see that energy because he like totally like eats it up. But yeah, John finally walks up and is just like, all right, I did the thing. Here's your ring. And like it's such like a very crisp, like and sedated, like just like military father kind of reaction to this really like garbage situation, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. If anything, John has very good patience and composure,
Yeah.
even when the most frustrating of things are happening.
Yeah. And we get like the sort of call to action,
Yeah.
the call to adventure, which was cleverly planted in the hologram once again.
Yeah, we're told to go to Nebraska, and as I said before, Hal just flies with the ring. John has to take normal modes of transportation to get there.
Just a quick little montage of him going through the
Yeah.
airport, driving over.
And once he gets there, it's at a football stadium. There was a shooting, and we kind of get Hal and John sitting on the stands of this football arena, and it was kind of cool because they were like, "Oh, why haven't you done anything yet?" And Hal's like, "Well, here's your reason." And the sheriff comes up, and she's like, "It's not your jurisdiction. Go away. You only handle extraterrestrial things, and this is very much like a Earth thing."
Well, and this was the part in the show where I feel like they really established that once again, he's just a space cop.
Right.
Right? Like he is responding to the chain of command versus like jurisdiction, right? And he's doing the space cop stuff, but he just has powers.
No, for real. And I like the scene where, John's like, "What happened here?" And Hal starts to tell him, then he's like, "No, wait, you tell me what's happened." And we get kind of a cool,
His ability to observe, we see why
a
he's
well
training.
edited,
Yeah.
like series of what happened. And then it's like, okay, but how come you think there's aliens here? And he doesn't really say. He just has a gut feeling, which is the most like gruffled cop answer ever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But we do get kind of like a target, right? And it's this guy.
A suspicious guy who
Yeah.
clearly ditched his, other team jersey or his other team hoodie on the ground, and he's, trying to hide out with the other suspects. And John notes him and makes the mistake of trying to like alert the chief of that.
Right. He tries to alert her. She's like, who cares? And then he starts running, and we get a fun little chase sequence. It's a good time through a high school.
Right, get classic, rookie like outsmarts the guy,
Right.
gets
Takes a
around him.
shortcut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, they get the guy, he's in cuffs, and immediately Hal like pulls up out of nowhere and he's like, I want to interrogate that guy.
Yep.
And Sheriff does not want to play nice with them. She is not a fan of these out of towners. She's made that clear.
Yeah. So then they go to a bar, and Hal has a funny plan. But before this, John asks Hal, how did you get your ring? And Hal explains the story. It feels very much the same as any other rendition we've been given, except that he was transported very far, and he got the ring like in Nebraska where the ship crashed. And some context that isn't in the other ones, and it might just be a specific thing to this show. But he talks about how Earth is very much like a backwater, like nobody goes there. And so the fact that a Green Lantern ship crashed there, he's like something
That means
significant.
something.
And so that's why he keeps an eye on this area of Nebraska. And I thought that was a very
I did dig
clever
that
thing.
note.
Yeah.
And I don't think other like renditions have struck on that specifically, but they have leaned into the fact that the other aliens look down on Earthlings, right?
Yeah.
That they're kind of like a subspecies to them. So the
That's
fact
true.
that, Hal would be given that ring is a big deal in the first place. So I like that they kind of kept that note. But yes, I love that it's specific to Nebraska. I love that there's all these like ties and callbacks to Nebraska. It's where he got his ring. It's where Abensur died. There's like kind of roots here. And it all kind of leads to a lot of intrigue around, is this guy that they caught actually an alien or not? But they can't get to the guy right now. So Hal has hatched a plan. And it's a really funny plan, primarily because he uses counterfeit money to work a jukebox, which is just such a like dirtbag thing to do as a Green Lantern. He plays this really like cutesy song that I enjoy, but the rough and tumble guys at the bar didn't. And he just keeps playing it on repeat. It pisses them off, and he picks a fight. And I love that like John recognizes this and like calls him on it, and he's like, and he like hands him the ring and then goes to like take his beating.
So funny.
And he does. He gets, ratcheted up and taken to the station. And I don't know if this will be significant later, but John ends up having relations with a lady from the bar.
True.
And she does show up later.
Yeah.
But we go to the station, and we found out that the sheriff was on to Hal, so she like didn't put him anywhere near the prisoner, and his plan didn't work. It's kind of funny, but then we get a courtroom scene, which I freaking loved.
Oh, it's so funny. Yeah, just Hal being not civil whatsoever, and we get the classic like the lawyer shows up and he's like, don't answer that, and just
saves him, pays the $200,000 bail, no big deal. Which, there's like a powerful figure pulling the strings. It's more intrigue, especially in the small town feel. And it just makes me laugh because it's just more of that just arrogant star energy from Hal, where he's like, well, I'm a Green Lantern. And the judge is like, I didn't ask what you are.
Yeah. It was a very funny scene, and it's clear that it's just funny, the idea that someone like a Green Lantern is subjected to Nebraska court of law.
Oh, yeah. Right. Especially like nobody's there. It's like a small courtroom. Yeah. It feels silly. But then we find out that this attorney is the sheriff's husband, which is a funny little tie-in and more intrigue. And they're invited to dinner because the attorney's dad is very interested in Hal.
Yeah, they go out there, and they basically have like a small militia. It's kind of crazy, which will absolutely come into play later.
No, there's no way.
Yeah, right. But they show up, and the father, is talking to Hal, and Hal is straight up like, what do you want me for?
Oh, yeah.
And the father goes, well, the aliens, of course. And it's like, okay, that's crazy.
Right, the intrigue, the like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, there's more to this guy.
Totally.
And he made a really interesting argument around like, well, there's the existence of aliens, and I am just a history buff who recognizes that colonizing is a thing and it sucks to be the colonizee. And he's like, I think, other planets with more, resources or tech are going to want to take us over. And I want to be, what did he say? Just announce prepared.
Yeah.
And
it's one of those things where like film language tells us that this guy, there's obviously like,
there's an ulterior motive.
Yeah.
There's more to it, but also it does seem that their, motives or
their goals are aligned.
Their goals are a bit aligned, right? So it makes enough sense for them to help each other out. At the very least, he has already been helped out by Mr. Southern and Powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're able to get they're able to convince the sheriff to let them interrogate the prisoner. But before that, a side note, the guy that Jon Stewart hooked up with turns out to be the ranch owner's like wife.
Yeah.
Which
crazy time. Everybody funny. Just is related to this family apparently, but then we get like this tense and awkward conversation as they're trying to leave, and it's like, oh, we think he knows. And
yeah.
Like, oh, that's gonna be weird and intriguing later.
Right.
And I'm gonna be real. I guess I don't know John's character immensely well, but just being the tight, buttoned up guy that he is, like not drinking at all, and just being like, I'm just kind of surprised that he like just had, random sex with a lady from the bar. And don't get me wrong, she was talking smooth. She seemed like a very like, almost like high status woman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like an interesting interaction to me, and I'm curious how that'll play in later.
It has to. Yeah.
It always does in the small town, right? Like these threads, you always come back to it.
For sure. So we're interrogating the alien, and this scene was so fun.
Well, it was awesome because it starts with, them talking outside the room, Purpose in the room, classic setup. But Hal is just being arrogant again, and he's like, nah, the guy's definitely an alien. And she's like, she's calling it like bullshit. And John is just kind of like, whatever, he's going to do his thing. We'll see what's up. So he starts interrogating the guy, and the guy's given sort of the right answers. And I loved simply because we live in a world where aliens aren't like a very like pertinent thing. I won't say they're not a thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean though.
So for them to like come up with, reasons for why aliens could be hidden, and even language around what would make an alien reveal itself, is just very clever writing. So I love that he, has the, where are you from, right? You like football, you like their team, you like Nebraska football.
And then super specific trivia.
What's the school that Harry Potter went to? And it's really funny because you like see the guy like not sure at first. And the actor killed it on this because he's doing a good job. I'm having a hard time telling if he's just like a guy that doesn't read that much or an alien trying to hide, right?
Yeah.
And he does a couple more of these questions, and he's like, I think you're an alien. And the switch, it reminded me of almost like the switch in Get Out with the girlfriend.
Totally.
Right? Like just a whole other person. It's beautiful. And he's like, well, suppose I am an alien.
Right? And then you have the sheriff being like, oh, man.
Right?
Like,
they both
crap.
lean in.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, he gets so scary so fast for several reasons. For one, because his mannerism completely changes, and he's no longer like scared, but a little scary.
Yeah.
And also he knows a lot. He knows a lot about the lanterns, right? Hal is all like, okay, well, like, you're going to take drastic measures to hide your secret. What are you going to do? He's like, well, I am a bomb. I'm going to blow up. And Hal's like, well, I'll just bubble you. He's like, what's the charge on your ring?
Right.
Did you bring your lantern? It's been over 48 hours. And you're just like, he knows the mechanics, and he's also explaining them to us cleverly through exposition.
No, literally, because I had the same thought. I was like, oh, they brought it up in a very good way.
Right? So, like, maybe like it's like a phone charge. It's like, depending on how much you use it, it'll last X amount of time, but you got to bring your lantern. And you can see, like, Hal doesn't falter per se, but you see almost like that little, like, this is going to be a tough one to get out of.
Yeah.
And the guy keeps, kind of goading him and being like, right, our prolific mission, and like this is our thing, and I know what you're all about. He recites the Green Lantern oath.
Yeah. Which makes Hal flip and, beat him up, but then he just decides to blow up. So
Which Hal is able to contain, but it kind of like it
there's a shockwave.
some destruction,
still.
yeah. And
Then we get, my opinion, it was like a crazy part of this whole thing, which is it pans up from the destruction, and then we're given a second time jump to 2026.
which
and
we
it's
both were just
wintertime.
like, we're in the modern day. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I was not expecting that.
And it's just John in a truck
yeah,
with a goatee.
Yep, he's looking all handsome, and he pulls up to the football stadium.
Well, he passes the ranch first.
That's true, and it's
And
pretty
it is
destroyed.
It's ruined, yeah.
And the sheriff meets him at the stadium, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's here still," or something like that.
Yeah,
and
and
then,
he's like, does anybody else know? She's like,
"That's
just
right,
the groundskeeper.
groundskeeper."
So they walk up, and it's, the football stadium from earlier in this episode where the shooting happened, and we come to see Hal in the stands in pretty much the
frozen.
same position.
Yeah,
But he's frozen, and there's a bullet in his head.
yeah. And that's how it ends. And I gotta say, I wonder if this show will just jump between 2016 and 2026. Like it has to, right?
It certainly seems that way, simply because they set up way too many mysteries in 2016 for them not to like show them, right? You can't just like set up a whole story and then just try and solve it through exposition in the future.
Yeah.
But it would also be very interesting because I don't know many shows that deal with nonlinear storytelling.
I agree. It's not common, and I'm excited to see how this works. Like, my best guess is that they'll kind of continue having it be set in 2016, but then maybe the last like 15 minutes, or maybe the first 15 minutes of an episode, right? Like, I don't think.
Well, I think they'll definitely section it off, and I don't even think there has to be a formula per se, right? I mean,
Yeah.
5 minutes of this was in 1996. The majority of the episode was 2016, and the last 2 minutes were 2026. I think it would be neat for them to keep jumping around, even to take us back to John's childhood, get some more answers there. Like,
Okay.
I like the setup that they have, especially with that third decade.
Right.
That is the old Hal, the last time he backed up. I'm calling it right now. I think
There's
that's
something
important.
there. Yeah.
Right?
I bet you're right.
So I think to make that easier on the audience, we have 1996, 2006, 2016, and 2026. That is 40 years, all with the sixes. That will be kind of easy and cool to jump around with story-wise. That is what I'm hoping for right now.
I'm super excited to see if that's the case. I think, personal opinion, I think the frozen Hal Jordan is a alien,
Okay.
because I wonder if they can just take the form of.
I mean,
'Cause,
they
like-
did mention Martian Manhunters, and I was curious if they were going to like bring that up in this episode, but I am positive that's a thing, especially with that whole, there are 14 aliens that can, completely disguise themselves as a human. None of our tests can tell any different.
Yeah,
Sounds like Martian Manhunter territory.
absolutely. So I wonder if the Hal with the bullet in his head, frozen, is.
That would be interesting. It would be crazy if that just was Hal,
Yeah, it would
right?
be.
John checks, there's no ring, so that's interesting indicator, not sure, but holy cow. They like you said, killer pilot episode. They just set up all the stakes and the mystery, and I'm impossibly hooked.
Oh, same here. I'm so stoked to see where this all leads, and I feel like this has the makings of being like prestige, that like prestige TV, but like superheroes, right? Because I would say The Penguin was probably the most prestige superhero TV series we've ever gotten.
Absolutely. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? And it felt well written. It felt like proper, and like the story needed to be told. Like it just felt good.
Yeah.
And I agree. I feel like this will fit in that territory. Just before recording this, we had a lengthy conversation about Marvel TV shows, and I don't feel like most of them hit in this way.
Yeah. It's kind of true. I mean, the last time I really watched a Marvel TV show and it was just flat out like, holy crap, I loved that, was season 3 of Daredevil, which wasn't even, that was like Marvel Netflix.
That was like early Marvel shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not to say like I think the other ones are bad. Like I've enjoyed a lot of Marvel TV as it's come out. I just, because there were so many of them, it kind of, the quality of it just kind of started to blend together for me.
None of them felt terribly stand out.
And there are quite a few DC shows as well, right? We've had The Penguin, Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, and now Lanterns, but I've thoroughly enjoyed them all, and I find them all to be memorable, right? So
They're pretty stylistic. And don't get me wrong, DC has had its fair share of bad shows.
oh yeah,
Right? The Flash went on for just way too
Yep.
long. And we've all had issues with other seasons, but I like what they've been doing in their recent show arena, and this seems to be just an incredible setup for a really exciting story. Like I want to shake the hand of the fellow that like just put it together so simply that it's just like, hey, like we have a formula for the cop drama, and Green Lantern is a space cop, so like what if we did that?
yeah, I agree. It was right in front of us the whole time. I'm surprised it didn't happen before.
And glad it's happening now. It just feels right.
Yeah, I agree. I'm super excited to see what happens.
I guess at this point, what do you think the chances are of us actually seeing like the Guardians, of seeing Abin Sur, of seeing like any of the other Lanterns? They've talked a lot about them, but in the way they're talking about them, they're telling us enough. I don't think they're gonna be showing much of these. I'm curious. I'm curious.
So I agree with you. I think they've said enough about them that they don't need to be shown. If they were to show them, I bet it'll be in that 2006 era that you guessed about, because
That would be a good place to put them.
right, because from the trailer we see that little bit of Hal talking to Sinestro, and so we know that eventually they go
Right,
to
there is some form of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but to what extent, I don't know. My guess is if we do get it, it's going to mostly be in that 2006 range.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised by how genuinely like intriguing and engaging it was for like superstar Hal Space Cop and his rookie sidekick to be having conversations with just like small town sheriffs
Yeah.
and just like what feel like simple people, but they're like they're fierce, they're intelligent, and they'll dig in their heels, and they now are a little out of their depth. And I don't know, I like the dynamics that they've set up, and I'm curious if they'll be able to keep that like intrigue up.
Yeah. And this mystery's got to be something else in order to have it span. Like, it'd be one thing if, something happened in 2006, which makes Hal go, oh, I got to keep an eye on this place even more.
Right.
And 2016 happens, right? And let's say the events unfolded, but the fact that it also jumps to 2026 and it's like, but the plot's happening in 2016. So what could possibly happen to make it last another 10 years?
Right. And
is
why is
so
it
wild.
like Hal here in the same Nebraska, like frozen and dead?
Yeah.
Why is that such like a big reveal? Like, what had John not talked to Hal in years? Like, what? So yes, I've decided through recent events, the Odyssey being a small factor in this, I really, really like nonlinear storytelling. It's not easy to do well, and I feel like when it's done well, I really enjoy it. Like, it works well for me.
It's a very fun way to tell a story, as the corrupt CEO and the other guys knows. But the question for you, though, with the ending, you had mentioned that Hal doesn't have the ring on. We see like the tiniest bit of like a green hue, implying that it had been there, which makes sense. It's been there forever. But do you think in that, I didn't catch it, maybe it showed it, in that 2026, does John have the ring currently?
Not that I could see.
Okay. I don't remember seeing it.
No. I did get a clear look at one of his hands, and I'm like 80% sure it's not on the other, simply because he checked for the ring. I didn't think they would make a point about that if he had it. But now that just makes me curious, because the most likely like answer to that, to like, you know, John being called back and like them seeing this, is like some sort of falling out. And now he's going to have to like take the mantle of the Green Lantern to like avenge him, to figure out the mystery, to I don't know what. I love this mystery that they've set up. It feels very Watchmen-esque.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, except in this case, I think we'll see more of the mentor character.
Hopefully.
That would be unfortunate. Well, we know we do, right? Because of the trailers, but it's how is what is the mystery. So
Absolutely. But yes, fantastic performances so far. I think the casting was immensely strong on all roles, especially the sheriff. She's great.
oh yeah, everyone was bringing their full game to this episode.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I have goosebumps right now. I had so much fun with this, and I am crazy, crazy excited to be getting into it. So we will catch you guys next week.
See you then.